So we are in Jelgava, or Mitau as it was known before independence of Latvia, the German name that the Crusaders gave when the Livonian order built a castle there in middle of 13th century in 1265-66. When we leave the train station, there's a park there. As I showed in the previous video, there's a monument to the liberators of Jelgava from Latvia's independence war in 1920. And yeah, there's a small, it's a rather large park for a town of this size, and maybe not much to do there, but yeah, nice walkways, some benches to sit on and enjoy the weather. This day it was nice, really sunny when I arrived in Jelgava at least, so that's good. There was heavy fighting in Jelgava in Second World War in 1944 when the Soviets tried to take over the city from the retreating Nazi Germany, and the city was bombed also at that time, so not much remains from its history, how it looked before the war, because then it really was much more beautiful with all the historic houses, but now it's mainly just a few of these older buildings remain, and mainly it's just Soviet period buildings that you can see in the city, although yeah, they try to squeeze out maximum of what they can and create new sites that visitors could see. But still, like when we talk about architecture, there's not much here in Jelgava, and there are more interesting towns in that sense in Latvia. I was moving in the direction of a pedestrian bridge. There's a nice pedestrian bridge built like maybe 10 years ago, where you can like cross the river Lielupa and look at the sides there, and there's some Orthodox church here along the way, so another church when you look right next to it. Like here you can see both churches and one renovated community block. So yeah, there's some sides that you can see along the street going from station to the pedestrian bridge already. And yes, the bridge is right ahead. We can see just a view of all the area. There's the island right there. It's called Pastasala or Postal Island. I don't know if there was some post office there or anything, but yeah, that's how it's called. And yeah, some renovated community blocks so that they would look nice, and as we saw previously, some newly built buildings. So yeah, this is a developed area, like from 2011, 2014, I guess they worked on the island on this area of the city just to make it look nice, like it's here when we are already on the pedestrian bridge. And this Pasta Sala is a place where people from Jelgava and people who come to the city can do some activities and walk around. There's some park and the ice rink, like we see here right below, and a cafe. Further out, this dome-shaped like building that's like a stand for some concerts in the future. I think they're still building it. It's not finished. It's the latest thing, the latest project there. Yes, there are nice some small nice park with sculptures in front of us, and yeah, cafe, so you can check out the prices. And yeah, the river and all the bridges here, and really nice view, nice place. I actually haven't been to that cafe, just to sit here like over the water and enjoy the weather, but maybe someday I'll do that. And that's the view. Yeah, As I said, there's no historical buildings there, so it's mainly like just renovated community blocks when you look over the river. But still, they are neat, renovated, and there's some small river boat and e-pavilion or something like that. And yeah, everything is looking nicely, and you can see in the background the Jelgava Palace, which I'll go on further. So yeah, now you can see here the Jelgava Palace. So yes, a beautiful Jelgava Palace, the residence of the Dukes of Courland, which was a duchy that existed in Latvia after the collapse of Livonian Confederation from 1561 to end of 18th century, when it was incorporated into Russia. It existed in various forms, like a vassal state to Lithuanians and Poland, to Polish-Lithuanian state, then in the as a part of just Poland and Lithuania, and after some time it was incorporated in Russia, as I said. As I said, the palace was built as a residence for Dukes of Courland. It was built in the middle of 18th century, and at that time, or actually it was a bit earlier, it was the second part of the 17th century when under Duke Jacob Kettler, Duchy of Courland was really flourishing and establishing colonies in Americas, like Tobago Island, and in Gambia in Africa. So at that time it was at the highest peak of its development. But yeah, later successors will build this castle and also Rundala Castle, which was like 40 kilometers away, which was the summer residence, and Jelgava was booming, or Mitau as it was called then, because it was the residence and the capital of the Duchy of Courland. Since the independence of Latvia, already after the First World War, and now it houses the Agricultural University of Latvia. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that nowadays Courland is like small town and there's this palace there located. And one time, actually after the French Revolution, the French King Louis XVIII fled and lived in this castle under protection of the Russian Empire. So that there's also that interesting part, and you can see there's some student corporation, some event I think taking place, and they also have now these 21 coffins in the crypt, I think, of the Courland Dukes located here in the palace. So that's kind of nice. I think I remember when I was still in school, it was way back like 15 years, we went there and we saw all those things there, but now due to COVID I didn't really go into the castle to see what's there. But I believe if you talk about interiors, not much has survived because it was heavily bombed in World War II and renovated after the war, like the exterior of it, but interiors maybe not much is remains. It's also interesting, and maybe you can see from architecture, that originally the building had only 3 sides, and during the independence of Latvia in 1930s there was built a 4th side, so now it's like enclosed all around this complex. And well, you can see here which is the newest part of the palace. Back to the quote-unquote postal island, there's some children's playground, and yeah, here we can see in front of us this dome-shaped like place for events in future when it's opened and when all the COVID restrictions are gone. So yeah, there's also some area where you can walk around, and there'll be hopefully more life there in future. overall, I think it's a very cool place to hang out. If you talk about like smaller Latvian towns, which are not like Riga or where you don't see all the like grand architecture around and stuff like that. But they've done maximum what they could do here. They have the river, they have pedestrian bridge there, and they have an island in between. So yeah, it's nice just to walk around, even though yeah, you can see the architecture is not inspiring, but they are renovating the buildings, and of course it's nice then city management is doing everything that they can to make it look better and improve the public spaces and make sure that people have stuff to do there and people like to go outside and explore their town where they live, and also that the tourists come and visit the city. And here's some kind of a karting track in the city, so that's interesting, although I don't see many people like there, or actually nothing's happening there. It's just empty. Maybe it's also the COVID situation, but yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe the business is not going as they planned when they opened it. Architecture-wise, as I said, there are these big Soviet streets which are not really needed for a town of this size. There are several lanes on this main street of the city going both directions, and not really that many cars, I would say. Although when I filmed this it was Saturday, so maybe it's more busy sometime during the working week. But yeah, if you look around, there's just the typical Soviet era residential houses, some of them renovated, some of them still awaiting renovation. Well, most of them still are not renovated, but and there's this thing that I don't like this sushi place which has taken over like the facade of the building, although maybe these Soviet buildings are not really that special, nothing to write about it, but still some cleanup. Maybe they could use some more stricter rules in some places for these establishments. And there's also some badly disfigured Soviet architecture like here, and the building looks really bad. I don't think that it should have been renovated like in a modern way like that. This church that we saw there, some more renovated Kami blocks, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Although it's all tidy and the streets are kept well, and the usual line at the Hesburger due to restrictions, due to virus, and people waiting outside to pick up their burgers there. And that's it, and I actually had to rush to the train already since, as I said, trains are now going to Jelgava only one train per hour. I don't know how it is in weekdays, maybe it's, I think it's of course in rush hour times it's more trains per hour, but still it's COVID of course, and all that restriction situation, maybe that impacts it a bit too. I could have gone by bus, of course, there's plenty of buses, but yeah, I don't like that actually, and the bus station area is rather crappy here in Jelgava, so I'd rather go by train. And yeah, as you could see in the previous video, there's a lot of bikes, people are going to Riga and by train, and here they get to the station by bike, so that's nice. And yes, back to the good old ER2T trains. I don't know if it's the same train, probably a different one because I spent a few hours there. And the train which took me to Jelgava left right afterwards, just after some 15 minutes. It went the other way to the Riga. So yeah, now I'm back to the train and going up and climbing up the stairs here. Since this is the elevated platform, of course, there's a little bit of less climbing, but still there's a few steps to go, and so we can't wait to get the new trains, finally.